What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Minus 2 news and updates. In this one, we'll be talking about Godzilla's epic new design, what that means for the Godzilla Minus One sequel, and Toho's plans for the future of Godzilla beyond Godzilla Minus One's sequel, beyond that next movie, into new anime, into new games, into all sorts of stuff, and a whole lot more. But there is a lot to cover, so let's jump into it. Starting out with some artwork like always, this first piece comes to us from Tom Dodd Arts, and it's their My Goji versus Tiamat. They specifically ask that we please just go with it and that we act like they're the same size. Comment down below, who do you think's winning in that fight, Godzilla Minus One versus Tiamat, if they're not the same size? I know Tiamat's kind of big enough to eat My Goji, but I really think My Goji is sharp enough and mean enough to kill Tiamat still. If they're the same size, who do you think's winning that fight? My money's still on Godzilla Minus One. The atomic breath alone's gonna take Tiamat out. The best chance Tiamat's got is to wrap around My Goji and sink him, but even then we saw in Godzilla Minus One that doesn't totally work. So I don't know if there's much Tiamat can do. Plus Godzilla Minus One's got the regen factor. Either way, incredible artwork. I particularly love the way that it's got Godzilla's atomic breath beaming through Tiamat's head frills. That is so dope. Godzilla looks so cool in this one. This is pretty sick. Next up, we've got an artwork set that actually comes to us from Masaki Hyde. Starting out with their Godzilla 1954. Holy cow, is this all pencil work? How do you do this? This is insane. The texture and detail on this is so incredible. Godzilla bursting through the diet building here, looking straight out of the movie. This looks straight up like a screen cap from the movie. Insane artwork. The next one they did is Godzilla chasing the Shinseimaru. Now, I actually think I've talked about this before. I don't remember if I talked about it in color, but I definitely talked about the sketches. It's also wonderful stuff, and this one has a really nice watercolor to it. This next one is brand new, and this is their Godzilla Raids Again 70th anniversary artwork featuring Anguirus and that creepy Godzilla Raids Again design, that freaky-eyed analog horror Godzilla design. I have really grown to like the scary factor of that Godzilla, and that's pretty cool. And this one, I feel like I've talked about this, but maybe not. This is their Burning Godzilla. Again, just wonderful job with the textures, wonderful job recreating the accuracy of that Burning Godzilla design. And I really like the way that they've done the burning texture inside of there. Kind of reminds me of Heat Blast, the way they've drawn that. That is super cool. Alrighty, let's jump into it. Gomoru Island published a series of quotes from Toho's chief Godzilla officer, who I believe is Keiji Ota, although they don't specifically say, and they also didn't say where these quotes come from. I don't think, so I wish they did. But we have some quotes from Toho's chief Godzilla officer on the future of Godzilla, and it's looking pretty bright. They explained that the growth potential for Godzilla is overseas. This is something I've discussed in previous videos, that because Japan has an aging population, it's important for them to reach out to fans overseas to get new people interested in the Japanese Godzilla. They celebrate that Godzilla Minus One became the highest grossing Japanese live-action film ever released in North America and the first to win Best Visual Effects at the Academy Award. They say that the ultimate goal Toho should be aiming for someday is the Best Picture Award at the Academy Awards. I would love to see a Godzilla movie win Best Picture. Do you know how incredible that would be? I don't know of any franchises that have actually earned Best Picture, but that'd be pretty sweet. Maybe some of them have. I truly don't know. They say they have a three-step strategy to ensure Godzilla's continued growth as an IP. They will shift away from film-centric business and find revenue outside of the films. This isn't to say that they're going to be doing less films. In fact, it's quite the opposite, but it's to say by having a film-centric model, they go these long stretches where Godzilla kind of slips into obscurity and it causes the business to decline as well as Godzilla's popularity to decline. We actually see this all the time in Japan. Kaiji Noir moved out to Japan in the 2010s and talked a lot about how young people simply had no interest or really any knowledge of Godzilla at all, and he really wasn't all that popular even after the release of Shin Godzilla, and it took until things like Godzilla Minus One for Godzilla to become more of a mainstream figure in Japanese culture again. This is pretty much the issue they're seeking to address. And this simply happens due to the long periods Godzilla disappears in Japan. The goal is to create films, TV shows, that's great, streaming series, live action and anime. I would assume he's kind of referring here a little bit to Monarch Legacy of Monsters, although it'd be cool to see Godzilla have some live action series that Toho develops as well, but the anime part gets me really excited. I would love for more Godzilla anime, particularly I would love for a Singular Point Season 2, as I love Godzilla Singular Point. He then says that they will develop projects in other formats like mobile and console games. They finally are starting to recognize the importance of having console games. Maybe we'll finally get a Godzilla fighting game. They will continue to expand and license Godzilla out and find newsworthy events for him, such as the Marvel Comics crossover. They will also continue to cultivate a fan base however they can. They say that they learned a lot of lessons from Godzilla Minus One about expanding the character and merchandise into North America, including realizing how much potential there is in publishing games. I don't know how Minus One taught them that that lesson, but I'm glad something did. They also say they want to launch fan events in North America, such as the activities that they have in Japan that foster fan connection and a sense of community. I'm thinking this is like Godzilla Festival. You know, Godzilla Festival in Japan is a pretty big deal. They do a couple of them. They also have like Godzilla pop-up stores and events going on all of the time, Godzilla expos and such. It'd be wonderful to start to bring that stuff to the United States and beyond. They say that their main goal is to make the Japanese Godzilla mainstream worldwide. They will take inspiration from how successful anime is worldwide and kind of follow similar models. He then celebrates the success of the MonsterVerse and appreciates how in the hiatus between Japanese Godzilla films, the MonsterVerse continues to reignite momentum. And this really started for Godzilla after the 2014 movie, and he is very thankful for that 2014 film for kicking Godzilla off back into the mainstream. He says that they are proud of the global strategy and mission that is the US Godzilla, so there is no signs that Toho wants the MonsterVerse to slow down. In fact, they put in minimal effort and get maximum reward. They really don't have to contribute much to the MonsterVerse, and they get merchandising from it, they get new designs from it, they get to distribute the Godzilla movies overseas in Japan. They make tons of money off the MonsterVerse. There is no reason they'd want that to slow down, and Legendary has to pay them every time they use Godzilla. It's a perfect scenario for Toho. He also celebrates how large the fan base is for the Japanese Godzilla, especially how large it's becoming after Shin Godzilla's release. So that's all pretty cool stuff. And this leads to a newsworthy event. Very randomly, on the day that the Godzilla Kong Supernova teaser dropped, what a huge day, at the start of May, a 70th anniversary Godzilla short film was released. This was released to celebrate Southeast Asia. In order to celebrate Southeast Asia and fans overseas, Toho released 70 Years of Godzilla, a new roar in Southeast Asia. This short film sees Godzilla travel across Southeast Asia, visiting multiple landscapes and cities, and the description for it is an unprecedented Godzilla, I'm assuming that means because it's a brand new design, marks the start of something new. What is that something new? I have absolutely no idea. I truly don't know, but I'm very curious to find out. This special footage honors Southeast Asia, celebrating 7 decades of Godzilla's unstoppable journey through the region's iconic landmarks. This short was released by Toho Entertainment Asia and was done by Bangkok, Thailand's Igloo Studios, so it was not done by Takashi Yamazaki's studio Shirogami, who was the studio that did the Godzilla 70th anniversary short film that played on the Tokyo Metro building. This is a completely different studio. This features a brand new redesign of Godzilla Minus One with new sound effects and roars that both blend in Toho's Godzilla roars and Legendary's roars. In fact, some of the shots in here are very reminiscent of shots from the Legendary series. Like this boat shot reminds me a lot of Godzilla vs. Kong. The sound effects are very Legendary Godzilla, and it's just super cool overall. The Godzilla in this moves a lot more like the Legendary Godzilla than the Minus One Godzilla as well. Finally, this Godzilla charges up his spines like Minus One, but they glow green for the first time ever in Toho-produced content, which is pretty cool. This Godzilla's design overall, I think, is just peak. I think it's so cool. Sure, there are things that I could get nitpicky about, like I'd like its tail to be a little longer, I guess, but overall, what a peak design. I still like Minus One's design better, but this one I think is really epic. This one is so cool. What I really love about it is small details, like look at that enormous, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's an enormous spike sticking off the back of his foot, like a giant spike. That seems super dangerous and super cool. The spine shape is really, really neat. It's very different than anything we've seen on Godzilla before. It ditches the Minus One aesthetic and they're a little smaller. Like I wish they were a little bigger, but they've got this like super aggressive, almost Christmas tree like patterning to them that really reminds me of both Godzilla Evolved and the Millennium Godzilla. This Godzilla looks like a Millennium styled Minus One Godzilla. I think it's so cool. The chest is a little bigger and sharper and more exaggerated. It's a lot sharper on its shoulders. The face looks a little smoother and a little bumpier than Godzilla Minus One's, which is kind of important. But other than that, the design is so similar to Godzilla Minus One. I love the way that the spines charge up. They eject just like Godzilla Minus One's, but they kind of have this shimmer and shake to them, which is a little different and shows almost in a way they're more powerful when they charge up. It's just got a certain type of fury to it that is so cool. The way Godzilla moves is a lot faster than the Minus One Godzilla. Like I think this one would kick Minus One's butt just because he's a lot faster. And then the green green is dope. We've never seen a green Godzilla in live action. It's super cool. The green glow in his mouth is sick. The green glow in his eyes are awesome. I really love that. He does look a little more sympathetic than the -1 Godzilla, I will say that. And then it ends by saying, first Southeast Asia roars, as in this is the first time Godzilla's visited Southeast Asia, which is cool. Fans were celebrating in all sorts of ways following this, like Mr. Goji put together this comparison where you can see Godzilla -1's design versus the new Godzilla's design, and they are pretty different while retaining a lot of similar core traits. And then a lot of other fans celebrated that this is the first time we got to see Godzilla with green atomic breath, much like the green power breath featured in the Godzilla 1998 animated series. Kuronosuke Boy released this one of Godzilla 1998 doing this epic leap and atomic fury blast. That is sick. Godzilla's got an epic pose. I love the green glowing throughout him, and the atomic breath coming out of his mouth is so powerful and cool. And then GNA celebrated with this beautiful artwork of the new Southeast Asia Godzilla. GNA always kills it with their artwork, but this one is just incredible, capturing that design so well. Is this going to be the next Godzilla design featured in Godzilla Minus 2, or whatever the new Godzilla movie winds up being called? Shinsaku Gojira. Is this going to be the new Godzilla design? I don't think so, but I think it could give us an indication on where we're heading. If you think about it, Godzilla should not regenerate the same at all. He just shouldn't look the same way he did in Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla disintegrates at the end of Minus One, he crumbles to pieces. There's no way he regenerates looking the same, given the rules of Godzilla Minus One. Given that when Godzilla got his face blown off, it regenerated differently, given that Godzilla winds up with scars on his body. The fact that Godzilla doesn't regenerate identically tells me that something like this design could be coming. I don't know where this design came from. Did this Igloo Studios design it themselves based on Godzilla Minus One? Very, very possible, and so it could not have anything to do with the next Godzilla movie. But I don't think that's to say that the line of thinking is off. The next Godzilla, I really expect, will have different spines. I don't know if they'll look more like this or more like that. I don't know what they'll look like, but I really do think the next design will have new spines. I think it will retain the same core aesthetic of Godzilla Minus One. As you can see, Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla have followed a type of evolution, and this does look like the next evolution from Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla. If we start with Always, we jump to Godzilla the Ride, then to Minus One, and now to this, they all feel like natural steps, and this one feels a little more battle ready and like it could take on an enemy monster, which we are all thinking is going to happen in the new Godzilla movie. It's got that enormous spike on the back of its foot, which could be great for combat. It's got a lot stronger elbow spikes. The spines are sharper. Overall, I really think that we could see a more combat-ready Godzilla Minus One design like this. And this one's a sick design. I'd be super happy if they went with something like this for the new movie. The only reasons that I'm thinking it probably won't be this design are A, this seems to be from an outside studio, Igloo Studios, and not from Shirogami. B, I don't think that they would spoil the new design in a short film for Southeast Asia Celebration rather than saving it for the promotional materials for the new Godzilla movie. I think they'd save it the same way that Godzilla the Ride's design wasn't brought one-to-one into Godzilla Minus One. I think there will be changes made to it, but this could give us an indication of just another stepping stone along the way, where we go from Minus One to this to the Minus Two design. This design also, I will say, doesn't look to me like the design featured in the new Godzilla the Ride, which we talked about in the last video. That Godzilla's mouth looks way crunchier, way sharper than this Godzilla's mouth. While this Godzilla seems to have the same teeth as the Minus One Godzilla, and the general shape of the face is the same, the mouth itself I do think is the mouth from Minus One. I think after looking at this, I'm almost certain that the Godzilla we see in the new Godzilla the Ride will be the Minus One design. It also makes sense to me, and it didn't occur to me until editing, that they used Shin Godzilla's design in a lot of rides as well, like the Shin Godzilla vs. Evangelion ride, which obviously was a Shin Godzilla direct tie-in, but I do think that they're probably going to use the Minus One design as it's the current Japanese Godzilla and then introduce us to the new Godzilla in the new movie, and I really do think they're going to do a new Godzilla as they always do to sell more merch and toys and stuff. It just would feel right. And also from a story perspective, again, it would not make sense for Godzilla to come back looking identical. This Godzilla feels a lot more combat ready, so we could see something a little more like this, which sort of moves the Minus One Godzilla into a bit of legendary territory. I think that this one kind of has that vibe. Either way, I think it's so dope. I love that little short film. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this. What do you think Godzilla's design is going to look like in this next movie? Please comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And what are your thoughts on Toho's plans for the future of Godzilla? Where do you think the Godzilla franchise is heading. I would love to hear what your thoughts on Toho's plans are. What are you most excited for? I'm definitely most excited for more live action Toho Godzilla movies, but I am very excited for new anime as well. Alrighty, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to continue to make videos like this for you. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man, out.